Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 10th January 2017. In this, The World at a Crossroads, it is an article written by M.K. Narayanan. So in this article, we will be looking at what are the geostrategic changes coming across and how it will influence India in 2017. You know that this century, 21st century, it is an Asian century where Asia has become the driver of the economic growth, with India and China at the helm of the affairs. And on the other hand, we have seen many troubles brewing up in Europe and also United States of America. So it means in the long run, the Asia is going to continue itself as the growth engine. And further to this, the USA and China, they are becoming very against to each other, and Russia and China are coming together. So obviously, this will realign the balance of power across the great nations. So after collapse of the USSR, world has witnessed a unipolar situation. Now the resurgent Russia is bringing in a multipolar situation. And second is, the conflicts across the countries, especially Southeast Asia and South Asia, are increasing. Majorly, the border disputes are increasing. Now, the Russia-China coming together has one single objective, that is to keep the United States away from the Asian continent. Coming to the Southeast Asia, South China Sea, and China's conflict with Japan with regard to East Asian Sea islands, and India's border disputes with Pakistan and also with China. All this shows that there is a lot of fluidity that is existing in the foreign relations. So, as US role is expected to come down in Asia, and as Pakistan is moving close to Russia, and China providing huge financial support to Pakistan, India has to face an assertive Pakistan in 2017. And second is, Russia, China and Pakistan, they are engaging in talks with Taliban. This is what is called a flexible approach towards the Taliban. Now, India's stand is, you do not differentiate between the good terrorist and the bad terrorist. And every terrorist is a terrorist. But however, the stand of Russia and China is changing for the economic benefits. The major reason is that China is taking a connectivity project that connects it to the new markets, One Belt, One Road. And this Afghanistan features important in this particular connectivity. And recently, it is not just a coincidence that Taliban have declared they will not go or they will not touch the infrastructure projects that have been taken up by China in Afghanistan. It means the backdoor diplomacy is working for China with the Taliban. So it means in Afghanistan also India is going to face a tough situation. Coming to the terror attacks, 2016 is a very bad year with regard to terrorism is concerned. And these lone wolf attacks are bound to increase. And coming to Europe, there is a lot of instability in Europe. The Brexit, though, is being voted in a referendum, but how it is going to be sorted out is still a major question. And along with this, there is another issue. Along with the Brexit, the right wing is growing in the Europe. And the economic recession is still hurting many of the economies over there. So Europe is rethinking, or else is in a shape where it has to rethink about its liberal strategies now. And also Mr. Trump has come to power in the United States, and he has showed his liking to interact and to engage with President Putin. So it is expected that there can be some sort out of the differences between these two countries. And also he has recommended for a common fight against the ISIS, and hopefully that will also come through. And coming to oiling the cashless wheels, the government is clearly stating that it wanted to shift the economy towards digitalization. A digital economy cannot come through force but through persuasion. It clearly involves a habit change. So incentivization of the people will help. And the incentivization shall be a constant motivation rather than like a lucky draw. In this case, merchant discount rate, it means if you go to a bank and swipe your card, on that 1.5% to 2% will be charged on the merchant by the bank. So that's why what the merchants do, if you want to swipe the card, please pay us extra 2%. That's what we generally come across. So this is kind of a disincentive for both the customer and the merchant to go to transform themselves into digital economy. This is the reason why oil marketing companies and their dealers, they rejected to take cards because they run on very thin margins, and giving away some share in that margin to the bank is not possible for them. So again, if digital economy has to be ensured in the country, we have to bring in a digital transactional environment where incentivization plays a role rather than disincentivization through the fees. A blow to reformists in Iran. Now, Iran is a Islamic republic. It means that, so Iran has a religion, and so there is a supreme leader and who is conservative, and there is a revolution in Iran. After this Islamic revolution, the present regime has come into power. Mr. Shah was been thrown out of the power, and the supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini is in the seat. So we can divide the entire establishment of Iran into two parts. One is moderates, the other one is conservatives. With regard to the moderates, they want to engage pragmatically with the world. Conservatives, they don't want to engage with the United States and other Western world. So the conservatives had the upper hand throughout the period, and Ahmadinejad regime has led to its peak. Now, the most important person who was able to give the voice for the moderates, it was Rafsanjani, and Mr. Rafsanjani has passed away recently. So Hashemi Rafsanjani, so this man was a moderate and is also supportive of the Iran coming out of, or else Iran going for a nuclear deal. On the other side, in the United States, we have the Trump, and the moderate has been passed away in the Iran. So what will be the future of the Iran nuclear deal is the major question. But however, President Rouhani in Iran, he is very much interested in taking forward the new Iran nuclear deal at any cost. So it is expected that the goodwill will prevail. And coming to respite, not reconciliation. Now, Iran, Turkey, Russia, Syrian parties, that is Assad government and few of the rebels, they have come to an agreement where a ceasefire will exist in the Syria. It shows that there is a way out, there is some hope coming into Syria. What made it possible? The Turkey has got serious security threats. Previously, for the ISIS and rebels, Turkey is the route through which they got the weapons and necessary finances. And also they got the recruitments. Now, it itself is causing for an instability in Turkey, and it was more like Turkey is riding a tiger. And second is, the Turkey, it has got the serious issue of the Kurd autonomy. And the Kurds have become very much strong in their fight against the rebels and ISIS in Syria. And the demand for this autonomy has further and further increased. And Erdogan government started keeping high-handed practices over the Kurds. So it means the Turkey was left with no choice but to fight against the ISIS. And it has come down with its demand that Mr. Assad has to step down. So it has taken a pragmatic route to engage with the Syrian government. And the next summit is going to happen in Astana. So in this case, it has to, if all the rebel parties, if they come together, then it will find a long-lasting solution. For your information, the United States and Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the regional parties which have the interest in the Syrian civil war, they are not being involved in this discussion. So finally, what it has to be said is, any solution that is going to come for Syria, any ceasefire agreement, it will be only a half-baked solution rather than a complete solution. And a rights bill that has gone wrong. When we say something as a rights bill, we need to understand that a right is one thing which is universal and enjoyed by all the people without any discrimination. So the transgenders' rights, it was very much in discussion from the section 377 judgment of the Supreme Court. And in the NALSA judgment, the Supreme Court has clearly stated that the transgender shall be provided with affirmative action including reservations to uplift them and to provide them with a livelihood. Now, after that, a private member bill was introduced by DMK party member Mr. Shiva. And then government has introduced its own bill in Lok Sabha. And the bill is very much different from the previous bills which was introduced by Shiva or whatever the recommendations made by the Supreme Court. The first major weakness is, if you remember in the United States, Mr. Anthony, the Justice Anthony's judgment, he has recognized the marriage rights, family and property inheritance rights for the transgenders. But this bill do not impact any other rights which are available to the transgenders. It means that, so if two women gets married to each other or two men gets married to each other, so what about their inheritance of the property? Or what about the rights of each other on them? Because the marriage is a sacred knot, so it also brings in certain rights between the people on their lives. So this has not been very clear on this particular front. And the second, if you talk about the physical disabilities bill, everything is based on rights approach, where the people can demand. Here the transgenders were left to the discretion of the officials again. And intersex and transgenders, these are different. Intersex is more related to the biological orientation. When you have different sexual organs, or you have got the organs of both male and female, then it comes the word intersex. But transgender also involves a gender identity of an individual. What do I mean by a gender identity over here? It means that we all shall have a clear, or else a person, his biological identity may be different compared to his gender orientation. So what I will say is, a citizen's gender orientation may be different from its biological orientation. So, in such a situation, the transgender definition do not include this gender identity. So, it has defined the transgender as very narrowly as intersex. And these are the weaknesses of the Transgender Bill 2016 that is about to be introduced in the Parliament. And coming to the world, again, coming to the United States, it is based on checks and balances. The most important appointments made by the President need to be approved by the Congress. So the Secretary of the State, Secretary of the Defense, all these are before the Congress scrutiny tomorrow. So that's what we have to wait and see. And again, so in Sri Lanka, the Rajapaksa government is known for its violation of the rights of the people. And the present government of Sirisena, it has come to power by providing for the justice to the people, which gave the new hopes. But however, this article exposes the inefficiency of the government to assure the justice to the people. Now coming to the news, UAE's Crown Prince to get a royal welcome. Now, why the UAE is getting so much of eminence, prominence with regard to India's things? Now, just the President or the UK, that is Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau, overriding him, the Crown Prince of UAE has become the guest on our Republic Day. One is, the UAE has become the hub for most of the terrorists who are operating on Indian soil to save their money. They access the banking and many other facilities and properties, everything in the UAE. And the strategic dialogue is, with regard to the defense, is getting enriched between these two countries. And also UAE as a sovereign wealth fund to the tune of $75 billion, which it can invest in India's infrastructure. So that's why So India is giving so much of prominence to the UAE's crown prince. And coming to the main paper, the Tamil Nadu government has appointed the Public Service Commission members just within one day. All the 11 members were appointed on a single day. So the Supreme Court has quashed it or upheld the High Court judgment which has quashed this appointment. It has clearly stated that even in the if it is the prerogative of the state, it has to follow the proper procedure and rule in their appointment, and it has to do its due diligence. Now then we gave the questions. You go through the questions and answer them. And thank you very much and all the best.